All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday. Was that very loud? Did you guys not bother to check the levels? I mean, did we blow out people's ears and speakers? Jeez. I'm sorry. Flex and James over here, but I arrived before them this morning. I woke up at 3,
Sure.
and I was like, this is a tough one because you can't really go back to sleep for an hour. So you're like, well, I might as well get up. So I got up, and I actually didn't know. I had so much time, I didn't know what to do with myself, which in the morning is an unusual thing.
It's weird.
So you're like, what am I going to do with all this time?
You just end up like, oh, let me go. Let me be the first one in.
That's what I did.
Go to the job.
By the way,
okay.
Look how great Simpiwe looks. And look at this. Look at this. She's sitting there with her Stanley Cup and her laptop
yes, darling.
and her Friday outfit. And I mean, it looks so chilled and relaxed. I love this. By the way, I have to give props to the whole production team, from Flex and James to Marvin and to Simpiwe and James and Ben, actually, for saying last Friday that this is how we must do the show from now on. I mean, doesn't this look better?
Yeah, I'm very proud of the fact that we influenced Gareth.
You guys are influencers, like in the biggest way possible.
Come
you're
on
influencers.
now. Does this mean I can get more money? Thank you. Amen. Hallelujah. God bless you.
Aren't you getting more anyway this month? I think we had this conversation. Shall I change that?
No, I'm just trying my luck just to see,
All right.
Like get it on camera.
I think this is the first time we've had an on-air salary negotiation. This may be the first time we've done this. It won't be the last. Simpiwe started the trend. Let's see what happens. Good morning, Shani, and good morning to everybody all across this country. I was so ready. I was prepared. Look at me. We're dressed like it's midwinter. I was prepared for freezing cold temperatures.
Yes.
And it's not as bad as
it's windy.
Yeah, it's windy, but that's an August thing. And today, for most people, let me just give you the good news right up front. Friday, payday. I mean, this is good. Spring day is on Saturday.
Ooh, are we Brian?
Please don't be grumpy. This is the greatest time of year. Don't be grumpy, all right? If you're grumpy this morning, keep it to yourself.
Yes.
It's none of our business. We don't want you pulling us down. I don't care. We don't care. At least we're the honest people who will say to you, we don't care. You're going to be grumpy today? Take it elsewhere. We're not interested. So much to get to today. Ben's going to join us a little later. We're also going to be joined by a guy I haven't spoken to for a while now. Craig Hinds is going to pop in. You might know who he is. He's a famous South African musician and somebody who's been at the forefront of South African music for such a long time with a band called Watershed. I mean, they're like OGs in terms of South African music. So very excited to have him in the studio this morning. And he's got some stuff to tell us. We have the new wealthiest person in Africa. We got to talk about that. Yeah, I know, Simpiwe. That's what Simpiwe cares about.
Let's go there first.
Didn't we just talk about money? All right. Let's start there. So first of all, who's the richest man on the continent? Well, we thought it was Aliko Dangote from Nigeria.
Yeah, bro.
But no, it's not. It is Johan Rupert. He's just surpassed Aliko Dangote as Africa's wealthiest person. Estimated net worth of $14.1 billion.
Wait, what? That's a lot of money.
That's a lot, huh? As of 29 August 2024, he's built a business empire, expanded into luxury goods, food, media, private healthcare, tobacco, telecoms. The guy's got a finger in every pie.
Yes.
And that is called diversification.
Hallelujah. And if they want to adopt, I am here. I'm ready to be adopted and I'm part of the Ruperts. I'm ready to change my name.
You already are.
You know.
Simpiwe Rupert.
Yes,
I mean,
and it will stay like that. That will be my maiden name.
That would be it. Tetwas be damned.
What have they done for me? So if they're watching and they just need a young 20-something-year-old in the family, I am here and I shall make them proud. So there we go.
That's
my plea.
That's her audition. That's her pitch. The wealth of the family comes from holdings in companies like Richemont and Remgro.
Wow.
But he actually inherited a substantial amount of money from his father. Of course, his father was a poor boy. He grew up in Graaff-Reinet, I think. I read his biography last year. Anton, the original Antoni Rupert, started off literally taking buckies loaded up with manure.
Sure.
An old bucky that he borrowed, filled it with manure and compost, and would sell it to farmers. Like per bucky load. He had to deliver each one himself. Then he went into tobacco, but he started off at the lowest level, and the guy worked himself up. And obviously, Johannes inherited a lot of that money that was established by his father, but he's made way more of it. Way more. I mean, usually how it works is the one generation makes the money, the next generation spends the money, the third generation gets no money. That's not what happened in this family. So whether you like them or you don't, and I can't understand why anyone would dislike them unless you're just plain old jealous, these guys are bucking that trend by the looks of things. Involved in various publicly traded holding companies, Rupert's net worth increase this year was mainly due to strong performances in the luxury goods sector. Cartier, there's. They own Cartier. They own Dunhill.
Woo!
Yeah, some nice brands there. Really, Simpiwe, you'd like all of their brands.
Sure.
Some very, very popular and well-known luxury goods brands.
Yes.
So that is who is the richest man in Africa as you wake up this morning. Means you and I still have work to do. We got a long way to go.
Him as well, though.
Why?
Like, because all the calls, sometimes when your business is out there, right? Now people are like, well, I know you have the money.
Yeah.
You can't exactly say no. And then they have this expectation of like, when Simpiwe comes crying, I'm just going to receive whatever.
That is why, that is a good reason why you should never tell anybody how much money you have.
Yes.
And you should never tell anyone if you win the lotto. If you win the lotto, you keep that shit to yourself. Right?
But there will be signs.
Yeah.
They're saying that
there will be signs. What would your first sign be? Simpiwe rocks up in a Lamborghini and she's like, I didn't win any lotto or anything. I just decided to use my other car.
Just somebody giving me just even a wrong look. I'll be like, you know what? I don't need this. I know what you would do. You would buy that person's life and you would put them into slavery for you. I know what you like. Some people would say, oh, so you got attitude with me? Well, now you belong to me. I've bought your mother and father and your sister as well. Simpiwe, some people you can tell if they had power, they'd be dangerous. You're one of those people. Just like, absolute power corrupts. So come on now.
So, speaking of power, we've just launched it's kind of a relaunch for those who are fans of Blind History, which we have done, I think, 7 seasons of. Anthony Medera and I, we did a couple of these over the course of the last 8 years, and they have won awards. They've been nominated for awards, but we're entering a subset of the Blind History podcast, which we've called Blind Herstory. We've taken some of the women from history that we've covered, and we've entered them for a Grammy. So there's a podcast category. It's a new category for podcasts at the Grammys. We're going to see if we can just show some of those visuals. I want to give props to the team here who've been putting some unbelievable visual design together.
Look at that.
I mean, look at like the font is historical, but the colors are modern. It's just beautiful. There's Catherine the Great, one of the most incredible autocrats in Russian history. She basically brought Russia kicking and screaming into the then 18th century, but I mean, she modernized the country. It was basically feudal before her. Who else have we got there? Let's see. There's Hedy Lamarr, the famous actress and scientist, a real breakthrough woman who also for a while dated Howard Hughes, the crazy aviator and billionaire. Hedy Lamarr, very, very exciting. Who else have we got? We've got, Eva Perón, married to Juan Perón, who was the dictator in Argentina post World War II. She was known because she was extraordinarily glamorous. She also came from nothing, married this army general, became the first lady of Argentina, famously played by Madonna and various other actresses in the role, the musical written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, all of that stuff, and a fascinating story. She was eventually embalmed and buried, and her corpse was stolen.
What?
They've relocated it though, and they've buried her again.
UK?
No, they did do a little traveling. I mean, that's what happened. But she is she's regarded as being one of the famous first ladies of history and a powerhouse in her own right. I mean, like one of those women who used all of her charms to get ahead. A real winner. Who else? I'll give you a little retrospective here while we're sitting chatting on a Friday morning. Wu Zetian, the first female empress of China.
Oh.
And what a powerhouse. I mean, this woman, she probably ranks in the top 3 of Chinese imperial powerhouses. She built so much that still stands all over China today. She was a centrist. She managed to bring everything under her control and authority. Mm-hmm. You know, China, that's a big country.
Yeah.
She expanded her influence beyond the borders of China, into Mongolia, into Europe even. She was a well-known character throughout the age in which she lived, and absolutely a stunning example of just every culture produces brilliant, brilliant people. And of course, women are no exception to that rule, although people say it's history. So where's herstory? Well, here's blind herstory. We decided to bring it to you. Dr. Robin says blind history was an absolute favorite of my daughter and I. You guys nailed the content, the pace and length of your pods. Miss it. Don't worry. We're looking at doing some more, but we're going to rework these. So if you haven't heard them, or if you have heard them before and you want to take a listen, these are the things to check out. We'll put all the links in our social media and all the rest. Carl says images are very aesthetically pleasing. Hope the content is as good. Good luck. If you win, I will regard it as a personal victory. And you can. That's why we need you to listen to them and comment and share them and all of that stuff. I mean, hell, if we all win a Grammy, I mean, I'll share it with you guys. We'll put it right here on the table. It'll be part of the show every day. Bitcoin But says, when did they find the time to podcast their story? Very, very funny. But at least you're thinking, Bitcoin But. Is that all the ones that I sent you? Did she know Kung Fu? Kung Fu, I think, is Japanese, but okay. I'm not even sure. It might be Chinese. Cleopatra. Oh, what a story. Cleopatra is like the perfect story. Love, of power, of tragedy, all of it, just spectacular from beginning to end. She lived at a time where she was a lover of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony.
Yes.
Arch enemy of the Emperor Augustus. She had to marry her brother. That was a disaster. The Ptolemaic dynasty didn't last very long after her. In fact, she was the last ruler in that dynasty and the last pharaoh of Egypt, actually. Yeah. And actually a Greek by blood, the Ptolemies. They were put in authority originally by Alexander the Great, whose one chief general was the original Ptolemy, Soter, they called him. And he was the one who built the Library of Alexandria, the greatest repository of knowledge in the ancient world, which was burnt later on by the Christians. Bit of a mess, that. Unnecessary. Let's not burn libraries. That would be a very, very bad thing. By the way, next week, Wednesday, we'll be talking to a guy from the Joburg Heritage Foundation about the city library, which is just sitting there. And yesterday, I actually asked the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, about it, and he said he'll look into it. So we're trying to do what we can to save libraries and culture in this country since Cleopatra came up. Elizabeth I, you see there as well. So listen, I mean, you got to go and check these out for yourself. I'm not going to go into a long diatribe about all of them. All extraordinary women. I know Women's Month is just about over, but we thought we'd throw this in as a sweetener at the end of it and make a proper fuss of some of the amazing people in history who have done so much to make civilization and the things we take for granted today. So go and check that out. Why is the Facebook icon on my phone black with a blue F? It used to be white with the blue F. Have you seen yours?
No,
do you even have Facebook on your phone?
Let me check, because that's for old people.
Okay, just put it up on the screen. I took a screenshot of this morning. I saw it when I was driving into work. Okay, this is very odd.
Mine is still blue, but let me update, because maybe.
No, I'll show you. Look there. See that? That's how mine looked this morning. Now, I don't know.
Weird.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe they're saying, like, you are not allowed to use Facebook anymore. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me. But I think that looks weird.
It does.
And I tried to look up. I didn't get any. like there's a Reddit forum that's trying to come up with a reason why it might have changed. They think it might be a glitch. So I don't know for sure that it's actually meant to be that color. Maybe it's just on a few phones. Apparently some people, when they've updated, it went like that, and then it changed back to the original. But if anybody knows,
please do tell us.
Yeah, we'd like to know, because when these things happen, it usually, it's like there's some virtue signaling happening, or they're trying to join some movement. Or Alex Cage says new software update with iOS. Okay, maybe that's it.
That doesn't look nice.
Mapelo says mine is blue with a white F. Yeah, blue with a white F. Yeah, that's how it was. That's how it should be, right?
Yes.
Facebook got me blacklisted. Well, that's okay. I don't use it that much anyway. So I think I'll be all right.
You'll be fine. You don't need that app, honestly.
No, I don't. I really don't. You know what it's useful for, though? It's the only reason I use it, and we've spoken about this before, is birthdays.
Yes.
Because I've got like all these people who I'm actual friends with, and then people who I either work with or people who I see every now and then. And maybe the only interaction we'll have over the course of a year is a happy birthday. And it's nice to do that for people. Doesn't cost me a lot of time and effort. Happy birthday. Keeps us in touch. And then the next thing you say isn't like, hey, do you want to meet about this business thing? You're like, hey, did you have a nice birthday? Gives you an in. Anyway, it's not for everybody. Do you know what a Nepo baby is?
So I think I do.
Okay.
From my understanding, I'm going to use Hollywood as an example.
Good.
Right? Is if you, Gareth Cliff, you make it in Hollywood, and then you have kids, and then your kids get jobs because they are your kids. If that makes sense. So they'll get jobs based off the fact that they're kids, they're the kid of
You are exactly right.
Gareth Cliff. Not because they have talent, not because of anything. And usually they get positions that are very high up. So they don't need to start at the bottom. They'll just become the CEO of the real network because...
And it's because they've got connections.
Yes.
And because they don't have to establish those relationships themselves because their parents have done it. So they just get like grandfathered in.
Yes.
And you are exactly right. Now, I didn't know what that term was. So you're way smarter than me. I had to look it up. But we've actually got the definition here. Mm-hmm. So we can just... Nepo baby, term referring to people whose parents have succeeded in similar or related careers. So full marks to Simpiwe. Implication is that because their parents already had connections, the child was able to use those connections to build a career in those industries, usually used pejoratively to indicate a celebrity whose fame and success are perceived as unearned or undeserved. So yes, I mean, there are lots of people, even in South Africa, that we can say, Nepo baby. Yes. And it's not a nice thing, by the way. If someone calls you a Nepo baby, it's not a good thing. Right?
Not at all.
Yeah, Tracy says, like Zuma's talented daughter, pure nepotism. Well, there have always been examples, right?
Yes.
Throughout history. I mean, isn't the ultimate Nepo baby royal families?
Yes.
Like, ultimately,
yes,
that is the biggest win. If you're born and your father's the king or the prince or the something, you inherit unearned advantage.
And you just get to live your best life because... You were born into royalty.
Be ginger, and you can be untalented, and you can be mentally ill like Prince Harry, and you can still get ahead. So unfair, right?
Yeah.
Wah to us, because we just pissed off our fathers on kings.
Yeah, or like they're not like millionaires or like billionaires,
would be nice.
And they don't have those kind of connections. So
it would be nice.
Yeah.
So, Simpiwe, speaking of this, apparently. No DNA, just RSA.
Yes!
This is something which is trending. Tell me about where this comes from.
Okay, so South Africans are on a winning streak, right?
Yes.
In sports. We are just killing it left, right, and center. The Springboks, when they played against, I think it was Australia, they won, and then the Protea, and then why am I forgetting him? But either way,
Trikus,
and then we had the Olympics, and it was just like, and so this term came about every time South Africans did something amazing. They'd be like, no DNA, just RSA.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And recently, like I think a couple of hours ago, if I'm not even mistaken, we have won. I guess we can say we have won.
Go on.
A new record. Bayanda Walaza is the men's 100 meters under 20 world champion.
I love that.
He broke.
Is it the Paralympics?
No, this is like a competition.
Normal athletics.
Yes, world athletics that's taking place, and he took first place in the 100 meters. He's 19. He's in matric.
Bloody hell!
Officially the fastest.
Ben, was he in our Olympic relay?
Yes, he was.
Ah, that's the guy.
He was a silver medal guy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing the things.
Again, like hey guys. By the way, thanks for changing our set while I was away. I love it
now.
I love it.
Just the laptops look a bit odd, don't you think?
I hardly use it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have to use the laptop on Friday because I'm giving you stuff. But
that's fine. You put it on your lap or you put it on the arm of the chair. I don't. You make yourself comfortable.
Yeah, no.
Be at home.
I like this best.
So well done to this guy then, Walaza.
Yes.
So he's also running the 200 like straight away. He's running every day. It's like he's the Peter Steps of toy of young sprinting.
Third place as well. So third place, I think, was taken by Bradley. So we took first place and third place.
Shit.
And it's just like these kids are doing
South Africa's
amazing.
winning, hey? How are we looking for the rest of the weekend? We got some rugby on.
Well, winning's a culture, right? So once you get these guys...
collar, for heaven's sake.
Oh, these guys are running in
Did
here.
you just wake up and like throw this on?
Yeah, I did a bit, actually.
By the way, I saw you having an argument with someone on X about weekeeeeeend, Western Province. What's going on there? Just before we get into athletics, and Simpiwe was telling us about no DNA, just RSA. But just let's start with that since I brought up the collar.
It's a weird thing because I know the Americanization of sport has meant that all of our teams have funny names.
Yeah, because of corporate sponsorships and things.
Yeah, so Western Province was an original heritage team from the Cape Town, Western Cape.
Sure.
So the Western Province used to get Eastern Province. Then you had Natal, Transvaal. I mean, obviously these are words that you can't use anymore because they're from the bad old times. And then Super Rugby came around, then everyone was just having funny names. Like the Sharks still stayed the Sharks, and the Lions became the Lions, the Bulls became the Bulls. And the Western Province became a Stormer, which no one really knows what a Stormer is.
No.
It's silly. And then that's how it's kind of gone. And that's the professional franchise team, and the Currie Cup team, and then the age group teams are still Westelike Provincie, Western Province. And now the head of, I think, Western Province Rugby or whatever they want to call themselves says they want to drop Western Province completely and then just use Stormers, I think.
That's not good.
It's stupid.
We don't like it.
It's like, this is obviously like it's a nice traditional rugby jersey. I like wearing it, even though they're so dog shit this season. But no one knows what a Stormers jersey looks like because it just changes all the time. It's like a mishmash of colors.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
It started out being this like abortion of a rainbow with orange around the edges, and then Bobby Skinstad basically designed a Hilton jersey because he went to Hilton, and it all became black. I think it was that, and then it just became an amalgamation of the original Stormers rainbow, and then it's like
that.
Who knows?
It's like that trans flag.
It
which
is
just
bit.
They're always adding new things to it, and it's just gross. It's like the ugliest thing you've ever seen.
You can ask any Stormers fan, what's your favorite Stormers jersey of all time, and they'll be like, don't know.
Yeah, because it's hard to guess.
And then
so what was the fight about? You were standing up for this.
Go back, just call it Western Province and drop the Stormers.
Yeah.
Because it's still it's got something, it's got a heritage thing. I think heritage is a big thing with all brands because that's what sports teams are.
Yeah.
So go back to that.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I mean, go back to this jersey.
Yes.
And obviously jazz it up a little bit, I think.
But I like that jersey. That's a nice looking.
I think it makes men look handsome and manly when you run on a field and you've got a proper jersey. You don't have a mishmash of colors that look like it could be any sport.
In heraldic terminology, we would blazon your jersey as being Barry, Argent, and Azure. That's what you call that. I know I just spoke a language you guys did not understand.
Mean? Like, wait, what?
So if you're a herald or
Barry?
a vexillologist, which is people who deal with heraldry and vexillology, since we're talking about design a little bit earlier on, Barry means bars of different colors. Argent is white, and azure is blue.
Okay.
So if you say that to any herald anywhere in the world, they'll be able to draw that and get the colors right.
Pop that into a team song, Cliff, and
but just think about how efficient that is.
Yes.
Barry, azure, and argent.
Yeah.
Just 4 words, and you can describe exactly what that looks like.
3
it's
words.
Cool. Well, azure and argent. I'm being
particular.
particular.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, still 4 words to describe something that is a
well, there we go.
pattern.
I mean, I was quite crude in my argument on X, but you've just made a proper one. Let's go with that.
There we go. But I like that, and it's also a strong kind of contrast. I like the blue and white's nice. Anyway, we did get distracted. Sims was telling us about the no DNA, just RSA. We are winning everywhere at the moment. It is good to be South African.
Whoa. Proteas 3-0 against West Indies. They lost 3 games.
But who really thinks about them anymore? I mean, someone said in the comments, I look like I'm going to go and play cricket with this jersey on. But
so you've actually got a fun fact quickly throw in there. AC Milan, the football team. They were originally a football and cricket team.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hope I haven't fucked it up. And so their away kit this year is that.
Really?
All whites with a little collar.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Sims is the only one who's not wearing sports regalia.
Well, she's an All Black, which is awkward for this weekend.
Yeah, because the All Blacks are taking on the Springboks, which is a whole other story. What are our chances?
Well, we're the favorites. We're going in legitimate favorites for good reason. That All Black team hasn't really... They lost Richie Mango to money in Japan. They lost the likes of Brady Retallick, Sam Whitelock, who were like, Bucky's and Eben and Matfield kind of ilk. And I think they're
what would be at the Barretts?
There's 3 of them still. But the assistant coach said, I'm out of here.
Oh, wow.
Last week, he just stopped assisting coaching. So they've got their problems. We obviously got our problems with our locks being mostly injured, but Eben's come back like the Undertaker in WWE.
Nice.
So yeah, we're very much the favorites.
It was so funny when Drickus went on with Eben and Sia, and someone saw Eben, I think it was Rogan or one of his guys, and they were like, Jesus, look at the size of that guy. They were genuinely like shitting themselves. They're like, forget about him. Like, you imagine fighting that giant.
So Drickus is a big man. We all know this. He's a big guy.
Yes, he is.
And he walked out there looking like he's with his 2 favorite sports stars. It looked like that because it was that.
He looks small.
And that's the thing. And
he
then
looked so petite compared to the rest of them. And then
Eben and Sia lost their shit when he won. That's how engaging that sport is, and everyone's so involved. And to see the 2 most prolific Springboks, the biggest Springboks, getting like that and fanboying so hard was beautiful.
Well, you'll be pleased that I spoke to the Minister of Sport yesterday.
Nice.
And I asked him about this, and he said they are doing everything they can to get a fight here to South Africa. Likely to be in Cape Town.
Oh.
They're going to have to make a temporary arrangement to cover the stadium, but they're thinking about how. The mayor of Cape Town is all in. The Minister of Sport's all in. Dana White's all in.
So that's the thing. Dana White actually announced this week, he was asked, is Drickus going to fight again, or they're saving him for a South Africa card? And he said, we are going the South Africa card. So
nice.
They're committed. It's just, as I said this before, start saving now. It's going to be a very expensive event to attend live, but it'll be worth it at the same time. Because again, this is a legacy play for Drickus. This has been his dream forever.
Yeah.
And he's a man of his word. Like, he puts on a show. He wants this to be the biggest thing in his life and everyone else's.
Well, I think it's so great. I mean, where do you go from being an absolute winner in every category of the sport that you are the best at? Where do you go from there? Well, you bring it to your own country.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, because we haven't been able to do that with the F1, right? We can't have a golfing major because those are only in other places. We have cricket World Cups. We had a football World Cup, a rugby World Cup. So this is it.
I see, speaking of the Minister of Sport, 23 minutes ago, he said, gold everywhere. Apparently, Udeme Ocon, 400-meter final, gold.
Incredible.
So we are kicking ass and taking numbers this week. What a great week for sport, Ben. In fact, let's be fair. The last couple of weeks have been bloody amazing.
Well,
as a non-sports fan, I find myself excited.
It's genuine excitement. This is the thing. It's genuine excitement. I was perplexed how for an entire week there was a story about Floyd Shivambu being a crook at one place to go be a crook at the bigger crook place. I looked at that, I just thought, what is that? Like, it's actually not a story. Nobody benefits here.
Yeah.
Journalists are just showing how shit they are.
Well, media, these guys are so desperate to be relevant. So
desperate to just
and South Africa's in a good mood at the moment. We've got all these stories that are inspiring and positive and optimistic. And you imagine the kind of miserable sacks of shit who are sitting in a news office going, well, let's find something horrible to report on because we're not getting enough clicks for our shitty news site.
You've just absolutely summed it up. Right? These sacks of shit must be they must hate, their lives must be so terrible.
Unhappy, miserable people.
So, fundamentally screwed.
Yeah. No one wants to fuck them. That's part of the problem.
Well, Cliff, you're just spitting truths here now, huh?
Come on, don't you
It's
producers
true.
sit there and go, ooh, you know it's true. Have you seen some of these people? Do yourself a favor. Next time you read a horrible article in the news, like something comes up on your feed by mistake or whatever, just Google the name of the person who's written that article. You will like have the opposite of being turned on will happen to you. Just watch.
I mean, it's a general rule in life is that try be hard to kill and try be fuckable.
Yeah.
If you can get those two things right, you will fundamentally be happier and add value. And people will like,
why are you?
Wait, is that the secret to life?
Yes, it is. Be hard to kill. So if therefore you're nice, fit, healthy, strong, and smart.
I mean, you're hard to kill. You are streetwise as hell.
Exactly. Wonderful quality.
Okay, and then the second part be what?
Be fuckable. If you're not fuckable, then you've let something's gone wrong.
That's true.
Or you're just fundamentally not nice, which is also not something you should be.
I mean, people should want, like, that should be a reason that you wake up in the morning, you're like, today
is the day.
But you don't have to actually make it happen, but you have to have it in your head that today someone is going to want to fuck me.
But you see, this is false confidence because there's some people that walk around with that kind of cool and thinking, I am the best thing that's ever happened to this earth.
But look how happy they are.
No, like, but for the rest of us, they're just annoying. It's just like,
well, you say
no one
that
would ever
because
do anything with you.
Well, you say that somebody will. You know, every pot's got a lid. Somebody wants to fuck James. Somebody wants to fuck Flex today.
Can I just?
Wow, you guys have just been used as the lowest possible hanging fruit, right?
Well, it's just that they're there and we're here. We're really talking to each other.
I'm just exposing James. Somebody rated him an 8 out of 10.
Well, there we go. Proving my point straight away.
Wow. Yeah, look, I mean,
his mom does make the best comments on the show, I gotta say. She's phenomenal.
She's the best person ever.
Let's just get back to sport because I think there are people who come just for that, Ben, on a Friday. So give us some ideas.
So, guys, today on Beyond the Scoreboard, we've actually got quite a lot to get into because the Paralympics started, the final tennis major of the year.
Yes.
We've got the Tour Championships, which is like the final major in the tour sense for all the best players in the PGA Tour.
Tell us more.
Then we've got Currie Cup, we've got Rugby Championships, and then we've got so much football. And football's exciting right now. And this is the season Arsenal's going to win as well. So I'm super triple excited. I'm so sure. I am so sure. And I'm sure for good reasons too. But let's get into the Paralympics. So obviously we're hugely excited about the Olympics. There was 32 sports there. 329 medal events. So it was like very spread. And there's about 10,000 athletes. The Paralympics has got 4,400-ish athletes. There's 22 different sports there. But then there's 549 medal events. So as you would think that there's a 100-meter track, but then there's like 7 or 8 categories, whatever it may be. There is
for the different disabilities.
Yeah. So I put a thread out on X, which I do every Monday, just breaking down what the Paralympics is about, because there's no ways that I can sit here right now and educate you and make it interesting. I mean, cerebral palsy has 7 categories of its own. So how you get classified is that what is your ability to perform in that sport? And if you have, say, you got like no limbs, or you're blind, or you got one, like there's different categories to all that to make as fair as possible. And all the athletes get classified the whole way through. So even when you start your career as a Paralympic athlete, you might be a T6 or whatever it may be. You may change in the course of your career as your ability progresses or perhaps worsens. So I can't get into that today. But out of the 22 sports, you're still going to have all your favorites, right? And then there's also goalball, which is a completely Paralympic sport where you got to be totally blind. And basically, it's like volleyball, football. You got to throw a ball into a net.
Wow.
And there's bells in the ball.
That's how you know where it is.
Yes. And then there's boccia. So it's similar to petanque and all those kind of things. Where you throw a leather sack towards a jack. And obviously, if you have a certain ability, you might need a ramp to help you. So
Jesus,
you are going to see things
really complicated.
You are going to see things. Exactly. It's hard. It's so hard to try and tell you what you're going to see. But I tell you what, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to discover so much. And for example, like powerlifting.
Yes,
it's a bench press because a lot of guys don't have legs, or there's the ability to do that. They can't. So you get the big bench press as your power lift. But you'll also get taekwondo, rowing, swimming, table tennis, judo, cycling tracks are already taking place. There are already medals around that. Badminton, canoe, volleyball, which is sitting. There'll be wheelchair rugby, which is hardcore.
Oh my God.
Because a lot of them don't have any feeling in waist down, whatever.
So they just go for it.
Go for it. And hurt their hands or whatever.
And how do you tackle someone in a wheelchair?
You just stop them. your chair
smash
stops
into
their
them.
chair.
So violence.
I think it's called murder ball. Like it's got a nickname of some sort of chariots of fire. I don't know. There's some things you make up your own one.
Chariots of fire.
Make up your own one.
Dodge ball. What do they call it? Bump 'em, dodge 'em.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So there's no sports like diving. There's no pole vault. So there won't be a para arm duplantis.
No. Okay, well,
you won't see para penis on the bar.
Oh, no.
But you can't have it all.
Yeah.
Para penis. Did not think that was going to come up today. So. Right. China have got no chill, hey. Straight away, they're top of the medal standing already. They've already won 4 gold medals.
Sure. Yeah, but you see, it strikes me that China would be the kind of country that might even make people disabled just so that they could enter the Paralympics. Like China is like that.
Fair point, actually.
You know, they would take a perfectly healthy, perfectly able person, and they would say to them, yeah, we need some entries to the Paralympics. We're going to break your knees.
The T44 sprint is a bit low, so we're going to take one of your...
Yeah, just like I'm just saying, I wouldn't put it past them and North Korea.
But just like the Olympic Games, you're going to see China and America at the top there because it's a resource game. So some of these countries don't have access to prosthetics or wheelchairs or these kind of things. Yeah. So that's what we've got to look forward to, guys. I can't go any more into it because I will just be giving you straight information.
Did you watch the opening ceremony for the...
I did. And the French being the French obviously made it so moody and pointless for 20 minutes. Well, dry ice came out of pianos and got all. Why can't people just be happy? For fuck's sakes, it's just.
I saw highlights of it, and I just
but the French
looked awkward.
You're right. It is a French.
It looked awkward,
but it's a French thing. They love being like if everybody's going this way, the French go that way. So
it's just weird. It's like it's the sport. It's the coming together of some of the greatest sporting stories. These people. Some of them, if it wasn't for the Paralympics or sports, they might be like on stumps somewhere in weird countries with no hope or no activities. Paralympics brings these people together, and you got some dipshit playing a piano and looking like he's about to commit suicide. Like, guys, read the fucking room /city. Be happy.
Just watch the highlights of it.
But then all the athletes came out and it was fine. Yeah.
I'll give it a go. On your recommendation, you told me the Olympics are going to be good, and I'm eternally grateful for that. So let me give the Paralympics a try.
And I appreciate the fact that we got a good time zone again because it's there. It's there.
It's not going to be like that for LA.
No, or Brisbane, which we're going to. Oh. So the US Open tennis is on. So tennis is cool during the winter times for us South Africans because of the time zone, right? Yeah. We see Roland Garros, it's the French Open, it's the clay.
And Wimbledon.
It's all like sweaty Mediterranean men. Wimbledon's great because it's the grass, everyone's in white, and it's Djokovic and Alcaraz. And then it goes to the US Open, it's like, it's late at night, it's hard court, it's America. But it's still a Grand Slam. It's still got the best talent out there, and there's so many cool dynamics that go into this one. Yannick Sinner had a bit of a doping issue.
What kind of doping?
Well, he says...
Hardcore heroin?
No, he said he used like a moisturizer or an SPF that tainted his...
Oh, you're joking.
Tainted substance or something.
But imagine the troublesome people would be in.
But because he's a high-profile individual, and he's a great story for the game... People are saying that he was given a free ride.
Tennis. Can you imagine she'd let all the druggies through?
Like you just cream. It's just a moisturizer.
Yeah, it's a story. Because a lot of these doping things, guys, it's not like they've just put syringes into their bum holes. These are trace elements that come through. Yeah. So when you say doping, it always sounds like Ben Johnson, but it's so trace. Okay. It really isn't a huge thing.
Give them a chance.
So we got Yannick Sinner, who obviously got a bit ill. He's quite sickly. I think that's what happens when you get quite tall and ginger. Your immune system, because it's made you tall and ginger, it's depleted elsewhere. Yeah. Not a scientist, don't quote me on that. But he's been a bit poorly this year, but he's a still damn good player, right? And he's still the top seed somehow.
Okay.
Alcaraz is there. He obviously lost to Djokovic at the Olympics.
Yes.
Djokovic is there. And then you got those other fringe guys like Zverev and Medvedev and other devs. And they're going to be in the mix. So it's an exciting time for tennis. And then on the women's side, you got Iga Swiatek.
What?
Iga Swiatek. So she's the Polish number one. She's phenomenal. She just beat this Japanese girl like it's her job, which it is. 6-1. But then also Coco Gauff.
Yeah.
She needs to deliver now. And this is the tournament where obviously it's the home tournament. She's American. So she's the third seed on the other side of the draw. She's dropped the ball. She's made excuses, but this is the tournament where she must come to the fore.
Quick one. Do you think that she will be umpired fairly?
Are you suggesting she's not umpired fairly?
No, but we've seen, and the reason why she's gotten so much attention, not because she's talented, but because there have been calls where people have like, everyone's got that wrong.
Everyone's got calls.
She started crying, and then she lost the game.
That's on her.
I'm just asking.
I'm
fair?
I'm being purposefully aggressive with you here because everyone gets umpired. Everyone gets calls. You think Iga Swiatek gets her life is rosy every single day?
It's a free pass.
She's got to work.
I mean, does the umpire have to start singing "I'm in love with the coco" in order for her to get ahead?
Well, Gareth, if you believe some mainstream news outlets, yes.
Okay.
She was. Right. I think ESPN named her like the greatest tennis player of this generation. Meanwhile, she's won pretty much fuck all.
But please, where ESPN have named people things before they've done anything.
Yeah,
that's another case. This one,
bit of a fan shocker. Emma Raducanu's already been knocked out. Extremely.
Don't even know who that is.
Extremely attractive woman. Gareth.
I should look her up.
Her milkshake brings the boys to the yard, as they would say. She's out. She's gone. Unfortunately, she's a previous champion. Right. She's not there to be watched. So. The Tour Championship in golf is quite an interesting thing. So you play the whole season to get the points to get into the FedEx Cup. And when you're into the top 30, this is when so much money. And they shower you with money. But what also happens is if you've been the best player throughout the season, you start with the best score for the tournament. So they don't get you all the way through. Say you've been dominant like Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele. You get a cool score. So Scotty Scheffler started the weekend.
Let's just be clear, those are two different people. Not just two ways of pronouncing the same.
Yeah, there she are. Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler and
Xander Schauffele. So they've been the two best players this season. So Scotty starts the tournament on -10 straight away. Okay. Xander starts on -8, and then you go on increments of 1 down the order of merit, so to speak. Okay. And Scotty, being Scotty, thought, well, I've got an advantage. I'm going to make it even better. He shot 6 under yesterday, so he's already leading by 7 in this tournament.
Wow.
To carry on our musical theme, Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
Well, he doesn't know the feelings of the people he plays against because he just goes and just trumps them.
So don't tell Scotty.
So Colin Morikawa also very good yesterday, but Scotty with a 7-shot lead with 3 rounds to play, and we can close the book on that one. All right, guys, we got to talk some rugby. The Springboks.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
As I said, the Springboks are favorites for a very good reason. They've got a great team. They've got depth. They're playing at home, and they've already won 2 games away.
Ellis Park, right?
Ellis Park. Mm-hmm. So everyone thinks that Ellis Park is this amazing fortress. It's not. We've lost our last 3 out of 4 games there against the All Blacks. The All Blacks find a way of winning. But this All Black team, I think 12 of them have never been to this country. So what happens now in New Zealand rugby since we left is that they become more village than village. And it's not great. The hairstyles have got worse. These oaks are just, they talk worse now. We civilized New Zealand. I know it sounds strange and it's a big sweeping comment, but we did. We civilized New Zealand and we gave them...
gone, ever since they elected that Jacinda Ardern, everything went backwards.
But that's when we left Super Rugby.
Yeah.
It's funny how those two things...
Yeah. That is not a coincidence.
Have Paralympic
Ben
themselves.
is pointing out where civilization comes and goes.
And it's gone. It went with the teeth. So we knew there was going to be surprises in the forward pack because we don't have any locks. And Ruan Nokia will be taking that place, number 5, with Peter Steph-Totori having to come in. The big surprise, though, was Apalera Fasi. The weekend special was brought in at the cost of Willie Leroux. Now, Willie, we're trying to ease Willie to 100 caps. Stalwart, get him there. And then Russie's like, nah, this is going to be a huge game. Show me what you got. And the balls of this oak are fantastic. He is that South Park meme with the wheelbarrow walking around. That is Russie. And he's having so much fun with this. The press conferences are absolute gold. So he's not sheltering Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu. He's saying, you're good. This is the greatest game to show how good you are. So he hasn't gone for safety first like other coaches have done in the past and gone, I'm going to pick experience here because it's the All Blacks and it's Ellis Park. Russie's saying is, you're good. This is the biggest stage for you to prove that. So that is why he's such an amazing coach. He's an amazing guy to be around, an amazing positive spirit to all these players. Imagine playing for a guy like that or playing for someone who looks down his mustache at you and goes, no, you're too young. You're too green. Russie doesn't care. Russie just cares about the green and gold, not about you. And then the All Blacks, they've gone and thankfully retained Damien McKenzie, who I think is shite at number 10. And for some reason, they've left Mark Telea on the bench. Mark Telea's dad's South African, and his mom's obviously Kiwi.
Oh.
And there's 3 Bowden Barretts.
Perfect.
No, there's not 3, but there's 3 Barretts. There's 3 vice captains. This team is a bit of a, I don't know. So I would say box by 9.
Wow.
It
Are we
should
placing
be.
a bet on that?
I'll get to the best in the second. The other rugby championship game to look out for this weekend is Australia losing again. This time they're going to be losing in Spanish out in Argentina. This Aussie side is crap. We know they're shite, and they're probably gonna try and pull that. Oh, we don't want to scrub anymore ref system. They're dodgy. They're just shite. There's obviously Curry Cup on the go right now.
Can I just point out, you will never, in a million years, get this kind of honest commentary on Supersport. I love you guys. I love you guys. You bring us great visuals, but Jesus, there's not an insight given. This is value. This is why we keep Ben around. Solid gold.
And I'm happy to be here for it. Curry Cup will be played outside of the test. So there's a lot of Friday game, Sunday game, but basically it's a 2-horse race now. The Bulls and the Lions have shown they're the best 2 teams. The Sharks have taken their inconsistency from everything previously into this tournament. And the Cheetahs are a legacy team that just, I don't know, they've run out of legs. So football will end on football and Formula One. So sure, Formula One is, we were saying this on the Bounce Show yesterday, it's the most exciting time possible because Max Verstappen, who has always been the most dominant and hardcore guy to race against, is being Verstappened by Lando Norris. Lando Norris overtook him last week and then went on like and beat him by 25 seconds. So how it works is that Max has still got a healthy lead. He's got a lead of 70 points with 9 races to go. Okay. So if Lando finishes first and Max finishes second, it's a difference of 7 points. So they'll get 63 points. So he can still win, even if he just is in Lando's slipstream. But Oscar Piastri is a great teammate. Checo Perez is nowhere. He's like become the Man United of Formula One. He's there. He's got money behind him, but he's mid-table. There's
some moans coming from the producers.
So we've got the Italian Grand Prix at Monza this weekend. It is obviously a big, amazing circuit that's been there for years and years and years. You've got to think the McLarens are going to do it again. And in doing so, they're going to ultimately overtake Red Bull for the Constructors' Championship. But it's so exciting. It really is. There could be 4 different guys that can win it. Ferrari will always somehow win one race. I'm not sure if they've done it this season. I don't think they have yet. Charles Leclerc. No, they won in Australia. Okay. Not important now. Okay. But in football, we've got Arsenal beating Brighton because it's their season. That'll be at 1:30. Leicester versus Aston Villa at 4. West Ham versus Man City at 6:30. All go on Saturday. And then Sunday, Chelsea's population are going to hosting Crystal Palace at 2:30. Newcastle versus Spurs, really big game there at 2:30. And then the game of the weekend / the month / the season so far, Man United versus Liverpool at 5. James and Sandila have a bet because those are their teams.
Okay.
So they're going to go hammer and tongs there. And then if you like the local football, we're at the semi-final stage of the MTN8. So a bit of a shock this week. Sundowns lost to Stellenbosch. That game will be replayed because it's 2 legs of the semi. Mm-hmm. So Stellenbosch have a 1-0 lead over Sundowns. That second game will be at 3 o'clock on Sunday. And then Pirates will be taking on Cape Town City 3 o'clock on Saturday. And their aggregate is 1-1 currently. Magic. So all to play for, so much sport. And then there's just Paralympics on the burn for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Magnificent. Thank you, Ben.
Most welcome. I was going to say, for a bet this weekend, I'm quite confident about.
Go on.
If you take the All Blacks, give them 9.5 points on super bets. So you give them a handicap. And then you take Argentina and you take away 6.5 points as a handicap because they're going to beat the Wallabies by 12 and up.
Right.
You can get a pretty decent 1.8 on the odds. So your hypothetical 100 can return you a hypothetical 280 into your super bets account.
Superb.
So that would be my little wager.
Don't forget, Superbet supports responsible gambling. Winners know when to stop. Strictly no under 18s. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation's toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. Make sure you get onto that ASAP. I'm going to play something for you quickly. Sam Neill, the actor, most famous, I think, from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
He was asked a question. I mean, it's difficult to kind of ignore the fact that the person asking the question seems to have she's got some problems. Pronunciation problems. Yeah, it's something going on there, but ignore that. Pay attention to his answer. And look, it's a good question. So, unless you're like me and you're distracted by people who are not, average, ordinary, normal, this is a very interesting little interaction. So take a look at this.
What is the best lesson you learnt from your parents?
Oh. Wow, that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
That's a really, really interesting question. I think there were... I don't know why that question has moved me so much, but it has. My parents were of the generation that went through a lot of things. They went through the Depression. My mother lost her father in the First War. So she grew up without her father. Yeah, so they went through a lot of stuff, But they were very stoic people. And I'd had a year at university where I'd done bugger all. I was acting in plays and trying to find a girlfriend and things like that. So it came to exam time, and I realized I'd done almost no work. It got me very anxious. Anyway, I got home, and Mum said, "How are you, darling?" And I said, "Oh, Mum, I think I'm having a breakdown, and I've got exams in a couple of weeks, and I don't know how I'm going to go." And she just looked at me and she said, "Well, you're just going to have to pull yourself together, aren't you?" And I think that was the best lesson I learned from her, is sometimes you just have to pull yourself together.
Right.
Tell you what, everyone in the audience is easy to kill and not fuckable. Did you see the camera pan over those people?
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting that was your takeaway, Ben. I mean, I thought, like, there's something in that, right? He's talking about a generation of people. You could call it stoicism. You can call it just hardness. There's a hardness about, like, previous generations. I include all the ones before me because I don't think my generation's particularly strong either. But, like, how many people just say that to a kid anymore? Like, you'll just have to pull yourself together. Like, that's the best advice in 99% of situations.
Yep.
There's the 1% where you need more. You need to sit down and talk to an expert. You need assistance of some kind. But 99% of things, the right thing to say to a kid or to a young adult, or to someone who's struggling with something who's beyond young adult age, is like, pull yourself together. Like, I love that.
May I just add that you learn amazing things once you pull yourself together. You learn nothing from sulking. You learn nothing from being down on yourself
and someone else, or venting.
Yeah, you
this
learn
thing
nothing.
that everyone does on the internet now. All they do is they throw out all of their problems into the world, and they think that by unburdening themselves of that, they're solving the problem, but they're not.
If something is easy to do, you learn nothing and it builds nothing about you. So when you have a sulk or when you want to have a vent, it's easy, right? Anyone can do that.
No, I love it. But just play the beginning. I think you missed the beginning, because I just want you to see, like,
what was the actual question from that woman with no chin?
Yeah, just look at how and also listen. It's a speech impediment or something.
What is the best lesson you learned from your parents?
Parents.
Okay.
Oh,
Right, stop. Parents.
Shout out to film stars here. I know they all go to Turkey to make their hair better.
Stop it. Just stop it.
No,
What is the most important thing you learn from your parents?
I'm glad you asked that question.
I know, it's a great question.
Yes.
And you know what? This is 2024. You don't have to be able to speak properly. If you've got a good question, you get the job.
Okay.
So I'm glad she was there. She asked a good question.
I've got a question. Do you think anyone in the audience on all their anti-anxiety medication pulled themselves together after that speech?
No. I think they were very disappointed in that answer.
Yes.
You know, they were expecting him to say something
They were
else.
expecting to be
Whereas
spoon-fed.
I was moved by his answer. I was like, oh, shucks. Like, you know what? Life sometimes comes at you with both hands, and you feel like, you know what? Oh, I should give up. And then you realize, no, actually, I should just try and just get up. And no one, I think I can say confidently, no one has ever said, oh my gosh, I wish my parents hadn't taught me that. I wish I hadn't learned that.
You All Black supporters aren't all bad.
Like, I'm so glad my mom or dad taught me X, Y, Z. Or I'm so glad they protected me from this. I'm so glad they were so tough on me on this because now I can resist a lot of things. So for me, that was a great answer. Like, I'm like, wow, like, you know.
You were going to say something about actors in Hollywood. What was that all? You were going to go on a rant. I suspect a rant.
No, I've gone past that. I think another thing to bear in mind with parents is that you should only judge your parents once you become an adult as well. I think when you're a child, you're such a fucking moron. And you are always looking about what you don't have, and you look around at everything else. And comparison is a thief of all joy and intelligence a lot of the time.
Yes.
And when you get there, you're going, okay, so you went through this and you reacted like that. Fair call. Or you did that. Amazing.
Yes.
When you're a kid and you're just thinking about shoes or freaking PlayStations or other dicky things. So that would be my other lesson about after you pulled yourself together.
Yeah.
Consider that.
I just thought that was a nice clip.
It was, Gareth. It was a very nice clip.
Moments before the show, and I thought, there's some good stuff for
And to all people with no chins out there, that wasn't a slight on you. I wasn't attacking you.
No, I mean, it's Paralympics time. That's not...
Gareth made it worse by saying that. Don't you dare stop me.
All right. Listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we got lots more, including Nazis and meth.
Yeah.
Yes. Ooh. You don't get more clickbaity than that. And Ben has a lot to vent about with Nazis and meth. That's coming up. Don't go away.
So where do people get tickets? How do we get our hands on tickets?
Okay, so tickets are available on Howler. You check out the options. It's 275 Rand for a general access ticket. And you can you can take on the park and ride facility from the Mall of Africa, which gets you into the center circuit.
Who's your partner there?
Sani Car Rental is our partner. 20 shuttles running between Mall of Africa into the circuit.
So people arrive at Mall of Africa, just look out for Sani Car Rental.
Yes, it's at gate entrance 6 and 8.
Okay.
Look out for the Sani signage, the festival motoring signage. There's branding all over to direct the visitor. Get into the shuttle and back. And there's free parking if you have the Admit app.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
At some point, I also wanted to be a DJ, but I felt like by the time I really almost called PH, please help me get into it. Hey, it was a bit too late.
You should have asked him to teach you how to DJ. He loves giving lessons on DJ.
You know what the problem is? I'll probably stop mid-set and start having a conversation. Did you guys like that? Yeah, you see, my favorite part is when I mix that other part and then I just... I talk too much.
Yes, but you know, the things that you need to DJ nowadays, you've got all of them. You're hot, you have bums, you could just play a song and dance.
Me again, your voice of reason. Did you know you and Mary from accounting have the same medical aid option, but you hardly claim, and she's at the doctor every week and had a hip replacement last year, yet you pay the same? It doesn't add up. Please, check out FedHealth Select options. If you're healthy, you can choose to pay 25% less every month. And if you ever need a planned procedure, you simply pay a once-off excess. Now that's how medical aid should be. Go to fedhealth.co.za.
Good morning. It is Friday, and we are ready to take on the weekend. I hope you are too. It's also payday for most people, so that's good news.
Oh, yeah.
You know, August, that 31st day, which is tomorrow, kind of feels unnecessary. You know, these months that have 31 days. It's like a little bit greedy. They should all do 30 and we should just be happy with that. Anyway, September the 1st, Sunday, Spring Day. That's officially where it all changes. And I think we've got this last little cold snap now. Cape Town certainly had it. By the way, and I'm going to talk about this because the person who said to me they thought it was bullshit was Alan Ford. I spoke to him on he was furious. Like, I've never heard him so angry and ranty. He was like, oh, this Cape Town snow on Table Mountain thing is bullshit, he said. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. He said, there's no such thing. He said it was totally made up. He reckons it's a complete fallacious thing. He had a friend in Cape Town. He said to him, look out of the window. Tell me, is there snow on the mountain? Friend said, well, I can't really tell. There's a cloud. He's like, it's impossible. It was 8 degrees. You can't get snow at 8 degrees. He's got a point. So if you were passing around those videos of the snow on Table Mountain, it's probably bullshit.
So I can tell you, a friend of mine in Cape Town, he went hunting for snow yesterday.
Yeah.
And he got full snow.
Really?
Drove out there with some friends, making snowmans, throwing snowballs at each other.
So Alan, that's advice.
Alan, maybe not so fuckable anymore. I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry, Alan. It was cold. It was cold.
Speaking of angry, you know, people who don't study history have an idea of what Nazis were, but the Nazis were very bizarre, like in general. And then, of course, the leaders, the main characters, were even more bizarre.
Okay.
And you got basically Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, Goering, Rom, Heydrich. I mean, it sounds, you know, they sound like they were pretty much like really. By the way, before we even get into that, a friend of mine is in Germany right now, and this is not to beat up on Germans. I love Germany. I've been there myself. It's a great country, but Germans are weird. Okay, just take a look at this. A friend of mine recorded this from the TV in his hotel room as he got into Berlin last night. Just take a look. This is what they watch on TV in Germany. What is that? Yeah, exactly.
Guys, I said often, people should rip off Afrikaans people.
That is their version. Okay, you can stop. That is the German version of MTV, by the looks of things. So they have a guy cutting meat, and then they've got oompa music with an accordion.
And a bit of a bucky as well. Guys, what if Afrikaans people are actually becoming so trendy? I mean, we saw it with that Dutch music video you showed me the other day.
Yeah.
I think it all started with Kurt Darren, and it's like been this wave.
Well,
that maybe other countries are looking at this.
I don't know that that's exactly the kind of wave we want to be responsible for. But back to German history. So obviously the Nazis, not a very proud moment in German history, but a big problem for the world. Ben wanted to talk about them this morning, and they're always worthy of discussion because God alone knows we don't want to go back to anything like that. But it turns out as you watch more and more of these documentaries that are coming out, most of these guys were high the whole time.
The whole time.
The whole time. The Nazis were always fucking high. They were tweaking every moment of the day.
Yeah.
You could see Hitler. There's this one clip of him at the Olympics in Berlin, and he's like, and you think, well, he's just Hitler, you know, so, he's anxious.
I'm glad you bring up Berlin because that's where it started. In 1935, they had the Berlin Olympics, and that was going to be the big thing for the Third Reich. This is our chance to show how amazing our athletes are, how we're superior as a race. And then the unfortunate thing that Jesse Owens, the black man from America, rocked up and he won all the races.
And they hated that.
And they hated that. And they were like,
those Nazis were so
they were so angry.
Can you imagine?
It was the worst thing. I mean, it was worse than the All Blacks coming here and potentially winning. And what they concluded was not that the fact that basically everyone knows black people have more fast twitch muscles than white people, so historically they're better sprinters. If you just look at genetics, he was like, no, Americans are on better drugs. We need to make better drugs because there's no ways a black guy can beat a white guy. This was their thing. So that's when the meth started to be manufactured.
Right.
So you say what you want about the Nazis. You say what you want about any bad people. They had good scientists. They had very smart people. They had good engineers.
So that was their form of doping.
So also, if they didn't deliver the goods, Hitler would just throw them in a camp, and that would be the last you'd hear of them. So they had to really work day and night to try and crack whatever he wanted cracked, even if it was crack.
But that was the thing about the Nazis in general. I mean, you look at these soft socialists nowadays, or these stupid communists, they're just in it for the money and just to get things. Hitler wanted excellence.
Oh,
he wanted to
so badly.
and it was this obsession which made him very weird.
Right.
So this hasn't really come out in a huge, wouldn't see it in textbooks growing up about this whole meth thing. But a guy called Norman Oller, who's a German author, I credit all of this to him. There was a podcast with him on Joe Rogan. And the Germans being the Germans, they're fantastic archivers. So this oak realized this and went back into the archives, and he just read everything possible.
Wow.
And a lot of these big German pharmaceutical companies, because as we know, during the Nazi times, big companies made lots of money.
Yeah.
So people don't want to say it, but like a company like Mercedes, for example.
Yes.
They were there in the mix.
VW.
Hugo Boss was making nice suits for them. So pharmaceutical companies were exactly the same for Hitler's meth needs. So they started producing this sort of methamphetamine around the mid-30s. And then as things escalated towards the war times, Hitler had this plan. Now, the French, this was a surprise to me, but back then, late 30s, the French actually had a really big army, a really good army, and they were dominant, and they were seen as a real force. The Germans did not have the manpower. They didn't have anything to compete with them, but they had meth. And they had Hitler realizing that meth's actually quite an inspiring thing for young men. Another great thing about meth is that it's not a great drug for intelligence, but it is for application. So if you want to solve a puzzle, or you want to I don't know, do something, Adderall's great. Makes it a bit more tuned.
Sure.
But meth makes you a great blunt object where you get through work without thinking too much, and you have zero self-conscious.
So for soldiers, perfect.
Exactly. And you've got zero self-awareness on it, basically. So you don't think about your actions, you just do them. So meth's a really, really great thing if you just want blunt objects. Hitler realized this. So what the Nazis were able to do in the first few days of the war was incredible, because they didn't sleep. They went on like a 4-day rage because they were so high on meth, and they had zero accountability. They had zero problems. Hitler designed the best war machine on meth. And it took the French by surprise, because the French game plan was, when you're at war, you're entitled to, I don't know, 3 bottles of wine. And they would go to all the nice chateaus and they would just pull the wine out, because the French saw it like a cricket match.
Well, the French do everything in a very civilized way. I mean, they take 3 lunch breaks. They have petit déjeuner, then they have un dîner in the evening, an après dîner, post dîner. They have all these different things, and they always drink wine, and they'll eat with cutlery.
And that was the game plan.
Yeah. I mean, the French trenches in World War I, it was very important that they had decent food. And
so can you imagine, you're a French guy in a town, you got a bit of Bordeaux on the breath, and then Hinds, his jaw is off his charts, comes steamrolling through your village and fucking breaks your shit. And that's what the Nazis did. And it was just crazy how Hitler kept thinking about this kind of stuff, and he had all these great physicians and all these doctors.
Himself was on it.
He was on all of the stuff.
You have to make sure they're on the good stuff.
Yes. I mean, he was. So there are all these documentaries now on the History Channel. It's pretty much all Nazis and meth. If you tune in at the wrong time, that's all you get on the menu, right? And it turns out that all these guys were doing cocaine, methamphetamines, all kinds of what we would call like concentrated drugs now, nootropics, effectively. I mean, that's what they were on. And it works for a little while, but your burnout's pretty severe after that.
It's hugely severe, but they would just keep tapping up to that. So the guys were getting worn out, but the whole thing was that it was the Nazi war machine, and methed up soldiers were huge cogs of that. So there's a couple of things that spreads out. Okay, to stick with Hitler. Hitler went through highs and lows, obviously, because he was obviously burning out, and he had a particular doctor who he was experimenting things with, and he would do all of Hitler's bloods and all this kind of stuff. And there was a particular time when Mussolini wanted out. He was like, this isn't going so well. My fascism isn't quite working.
Yeah.
It's just not looking that good. So he basically went to Hitler to resign from the war, to put it in simple terms. And Hitler was so low that day. So he said to his doctor, I need something. I need just to get a bit of a second wind going here. And strangely enough, Oxycontin's a real big problem. Opioid crisis.
Especially in America,
His doctor essentially invented Oxycontin on the day that Mussolini came around for tea, gave it to Hitler. Hitler did not stop talking for like 6
Can you
hours.
imagine?
He scared the living shit out of Mussolini.
I know no one's ever said these words, but I kind of feel sorry for Mussolini, because can you imagine sitting there and you don't know, like you think these are all humans I'm dealing with, but this guy, for the first time ever, like this is the first proper occasion that Mussolini's probably ever encountered this stuff in his life. He didn't know even. So he thinks this is the most insane human being I've ever met. And Mussolini's like, how the fuck do I get out of this? And Hitler's just ranting. And I mean, it must have been terrifying.
By all counts, it was. The man was terrified. He realized he couldn't go anywhere. He was stuck in this war now.
God.
And basically Oxycontin was now coursing through Hitler's veins. And of course, going back to the thing that meth makes you a bit of a blunt object, like we all know that the big German war machine overextended itself towards Russia, the Soviet Union out that way. They're all on meth, and they just sort of ran out of resources.
Operation Barbarossa.
Imagine the come down. If you don't supply enough meth, what the soldiers going to be like? Jeez, that's gonna be rough.
I heard a fascinating story. I don't know if it has to do with meth, but when Ernst Röhm was in charge of the Sturmabteilung, the SA, the actual original army. So this is before Hitler had become Kanzler. He was in a spa town, and there was a big SA meeting, and they'd all got together. And Hitler decided he needed to go and remove this guy because he was a threat to his authority, effectively. And they went into this tiny little German spa town. You know, spa towns are a big deal in Germany. We'll go for the button, you know, and Baden this and Baden that and whatever. Anyway, he apparently burst into Ernst Röhm's room, Hitler, while the guy, he'd just gone to sleep or something. I mean, I can think of nothing more terrifying than this, you know, monsters and inbred people or whatever, but there's nothing more terrifying. Like you're just dozing off and Adolf Hitler bursts into your room. He had a whip and he started ranting and raving and screaming at Röhm and cracking his whip. I mean, I think that's got to be in all of human history, like one of the most scary things.
It's weird. Marvel have made so many movies. Middle-aged meth man has not been a villain yet.
No.
But it was the greatest villain of all time.
Good Lord.
So it's quite another thing about the Nazis and the German system. At the Health Führer, there was actually a guy, obviously the Minister of Health. He was against the meth because he had the whole misconception that the Aryan race would be superior anyway.
Yeah.
They wouldn't need the drugs.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was worked out of the system a little bit.
Yeah. They were like, well, we like that, but we like this more.
But essentially, it was the methamphetamine. I don't know. There's different kinds of meth. But then the English got wind of this and they realized like these guys are killing everyone because they're on drugs, on hard drugs. So they did their own sort of research and being more gentlemanly. They had a bit of a softer meth that came into the ranks.
So they also did some.
So
they did a few enhancers.
About, you know?
Wow.
So drugs as we know them, essentially the Second World War started how these things work.
So are you saying, in summary, that if we want to perform really well, we should all be doing meth?
Well, that's where I want to take the conversations. Where can we put meth into society? What do we need to get done?
Is this our advice to the audience this morning?
What do we need to get done? It doesn't take a lot of intelligence, but we just need a bit of application.
I don't know.
Look, I'm not saying minus for meth is a new campaign.
The only thing I know for sure is that when I've gone to festivals and things and I've watched people going
on meth, yeah,
I don't think that they're particularly dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They are trying to conquer a dance floor rather than a country, so the motive is fair.
But you think if you could give them a goal that was a little more ambitious,
set them to task,
they could actually do some damage.
So to go with Sam Neill and make this a full circle moment, pull yourself together, get some meth, and pretty much anything is possible.
Don't do that.
And that's why you can't take meth at the Olympics, people.
Don't do that, please.
But it's crazy. This guy, Norman Oller, he's very interesting. He dedicated so much of his life to go through this. And some pharmaceutical companies absolutely just brick-walled him when he wanted to get into this. So Hitler's guys, look at Hitler on this picture here.
Look at him. He's so high.
So this guy went into some of the archives, and then people started to understand what he was looking for. And these big pharmaceutical companies, they said, no, you won't have this information. Because Hitler's guys would go and say, right, pharmaceutical company, give me all your meth. And they're like, well, we've only got a kilogram. It's like, can you give me 10 by September? And that's how it happened. And these companies, because again, wartime is a good time for some companies. You get very, very rich. And a lot of these people who now make things for headaches, whatever, they were making the meth for Hitler.
Wow. They've got a pretty dodgy past, huh?
And the whole opioid crisis that we see around the world, it started with Hitler.
Who knew? Thank you for that, Ben. I love a little history, especially we can get into it on a Friday morning. That's very, very cool. Just by the way, speaking of history, last week was a big week in American politics at the Democratic National Convention. Everybody's talking about Barack Obama. Oprah spoke. Kamala Harris obviously spoke. The VP, Tim Waltz, spoke. But I don't know that anybody really paid terribly much attention, and we should have, to Big Mike, who had this to say.
Now let me tell y'all a little something. Kamala Harris is a dumbass hoe. Hillary killed Jeffrey Epstein. My husband, Barack Obama, is gayer than a motherfucker. And Donald J. Trump is gonna win this shit. Trump 2024. Bitches. Let's go.
I mean, I don't know if that's real. I don't think so, but it could be.
I mean, I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
What else was
I mean, you're not going
I saw the Yes Queen. You know,
the Yes Queen.
Did you see how the audiences responded at the same time? It was obviously real.
Okay. Well, there it is. So that's your summary if you needed to know what happened at the DNC.
Look, ultimately, Big Mike's the only Democrat I know with the balls to say something like that.
Yeah.
Because they just all sit in the fence and they wait for some directive. But Big Mike, credit.
Good for him. Why can no AI answer this question? And you can answer it first. How many R's in strawberry?
3.
Correct, Simpiwe. Simpiwe is the smartest person in the show this morning. 3 R's in strawberry, but why can't AI answer that question?
Which is interesting. A lot of people don't know the answer to that as well, but it has something to do with how AI reads the prompt.
Okay.
Right? And how AI is not actually reading like humans. So you know how the question is, how many R's are in strawberry? You'd look at the word and you'd count the letters. AI doesn't do that. So you'd have to prompt it to look at the letters individually, because the answer that AI would give is 2 R's in strawberry. And all of AI, not just like ChatGPT, but all the various AI softwares would answer and say
not so smart after all. Artificial dumb.
And they argue back and they're like, you're wrong. And people are like, no, it has 3 R's. And you basically have to prompt it to say, like, look at the word, look at the letters individually and tell me how many R's are in the word strawberry.
That's amazing. So that we can fox basically however bad things get, if Skynet happens and Terminator and Sarah Connor, I need to get you to the truck. I need to get you to safety. What is it? Get in the car. Something like that. Get on the bike. I don't know. Can't remember how Arnold. Get in the chopper. But that's a different movie. Are you Sarah Connor? Anyway, if that happens and the shit really hits the fan, all we have to do is ask the machines how many R's in strawberry, and they'll
have a glitch and be like, 3, 2.
I like that. All right. That's good. I could get into that.
So you can be smarter than AI if somebody asks you how many R's are in strawberry.
All right. We still haven't figured out why the Facebook icon has changed on everyone's phones, and it's not just me.
I don't know Facebook on my phone.
Yeah, good. Good for you.
Yeah.
There,
You're not that old.
See?
I'm not that old, no. Thanks for clarifying
It's
that.
amazing that this is even something I would have noticed. But driving into work this morning, I suddenly went, that looks out of place.
It does.
Right, it does. It's amazing how you get so used to the certain thing looking a certain way. When it changes, you instantly notice. But you could have things going on around you and not notice them for weeks. It's very bizarre. We still haven't figured that one out, by the way. This is an interesting question from Ben. Speaking of social media and apps and things, your WhatsApp self versus your social media self. What do you mean?
How different do you think that is? How different are you on WhatsApp groups as to how you are in social media when you talk about stuff?
Very different.
There we go. That's the answer that I was expecting.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
I think I'm pretty close. I'm not too different, because if I wouldn't say something in social media, I probably definitely wouldn't say it in WhatsApp.
I can confirm that because I'm on WhatsApp groups with you, and of course I know what you like on social media, and it's a terrific trait that you have.
It's close.
I think for a lot of people.
By the way, it's not because I'm supremely talented in any way. It's just because
you're a real person.
Easier to just be you everywhere.
Yes.
So even if it gets you into trouble, at least you know who you are. I don't have to like tailor the message for this social media site and then for that one. I know people who do this, by the way, and they agonize over what to post on each of them, and nobody cares.
Yep.
Like nobody's that invested in you that they're going to go and compare your LinkedIn post to your Twitter, to your Facebook, to your TikTok, to your Snap. Nobody cares. Like most people don't give a shit about you. You think they do, but they don't. So just be you.
So the reason I want to bring this up is that I've got this friend in advertising called Dean. He's a particularly smart guy. He goes on agency, wins huge amounts of awards, does really cool, fun campaigns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he always has some very smart things to say about just realities around industry.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought up a point that I was thinking about weirdly this week, is that when did beer ads become so damn serious? Why can't they just be silly again and reflect what guys are actually like? So when I said, like, what's your WhatsApp life like compared to your social media life? If we were to be honest as guys, what would be a good ad for beer ads? Something random, silly to laugh at, and let's be honest, good-looking woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we want.
Winner.
Very easy to please.
If you give a guy 2 or 3 beers, I can tell you they're not worrying about Kamala Harris. They're not worrying about global warming.
We had a perfect example of how they've lost their way with this whole Dylan Mulvaney
my gosh.
Budweiser thing, right? And I mean, listen, God bless you if you're trying to be an activist and you're in marketing or advertising, and good luck to you. I mean, you're facing an uphill battle because most people, like I said just a moment ago, don't care. But if you want to sell beer, just think about who the market is there. And these are men who like to drink. They like to drink because they want to get away from all the serious stuff. This is what Ben's saying, is like, make it fun and people will love you for it.
I mean, you know the phrase taking the edge off. You have a few beers because you want to take the edge off.
Right.
You have a few beers because you want to talk shit. Why do men drink beer? They don't drink beer because I've got something really serious to talk about right now. I want to have 4 to 5 beers. Or I'm like, it's beer is a lubrication for so many different things. It facilitates so many fun times. So why are beer ads about like friendship and unity and all this kind of cuck? It should be about silly shit, about like what happens when you have too many, or it's approaching the impossibly hot girl at the bar.
Isn't it because it's also corporatized and all these companies are trying to put the best version of themselves forward like we do on social media and not on the WhatsApp groups? Like that's where there's a parallel that I can see here. Yeah. Like people are, and I have very little time for these people, the people who pretend to be something on social media and then in reality they're something completely different. Because then you also, I said earlier, it's much easier to just be you on all of it. But it's also hard for you to have to keep reconciling who you're dealing with. Am I dealing with the Twitter you? Am I dealing with the Facebook you? Am I dealing with the WhatsApp you? I like the WhatsApp you. I don't like the other two.
Yeah.
The other two are like just trying so hard to make other people like them.
Oh, the LinkedIn you with some people is the worst.
LinkedIn you. Like someone's LinkedIn you has got to be the most insufferable version of that.
We need beer ads.
Oh, LinkedIn is amazing, guys, because everyone is prospering. Everyone is doing great. Everyone's gotten a promotion.
Yeah,
everyone has insights on this ad. And oh my gosh.
People can argue it's the only positive social media, but I will argue it's a very insincere social media. So we need beer ads to be like WhatsApp groups and not to be like focus groups. And I think Bud Light, because they know that they're fucked up, they gave the UFC a whole bunch of money to remasculize themselves. And now in their latest ad, they've got Shane Gillis. Because if we were, again, really honest about
Shane
beer,
Gillis?
One of Joe Rogan's friends.
Okay.
Joe Rogan's got this wave of people that are about 7 out of 10 funny. Shane Gillis is actually really funny.
Okay.
So he became like the Bud Light spokesperson.
Okay.
Purely because when they do their
They
Protect
brought him
Our
in
Parks,
for damage control.
yeah, they did. And to save face. And if we are honest again, goofy-ish white guys make good beer ads. Because those are the guys that
but I think
throw it out there.
Across the board, like what you need is guys driving a tank, shooting stuff, eating meat, laughing,
the realities
doing
of what
stupid
happened.
shit. Yeah, like that's what happens. Like in my mind, that marries.
If you're not making someone laugh in a beer ad, I don't think you're doing it.
Okay, there's some instructions for the advertising
Well,
industry.
look, I mean, at the same time, because I will have my sports background come to the fore here. If you sponsor sporting events, you do cool things in sport, it's the same. Because again, you're going into that guy realm of aspiration. Like, I want to be involved with a sports person or event, or you're making these people laugh.
How do you make the perfect ad for women? Simpiwe, any ideas? I mean, no pressure. We're just dropping this on you.
Shirtless men.
Shirtless men?
I guess I don't.
It's okay. I mean,
we're in a safe space.
No, we know, for example.
No. I wouldn't say shirtless men. I think you need to alter the approach completely different. I drink with my girlfriends. I like having a good time with my friends. Like, come on over, let's pop a bottle of wine, let's talk about whatever's happened this week, and like cling, let's like celebrate or cry over the fact that we've either, you know, done something with our last so that for me would be like what I want to see. That's the reality.
I mean, it's a well-known and established fact that men are much more visually stimulated. Women are much more stimulated by the story.
Yes.
Generally. I mean, there are obviously exceptions to that, because we're going to get someone who goes, I'm not like that in the comments just now. But I think that there are, like, story is massively important, and connection is massively important for women, and feeling is more important. With guys, it's like funny, kind of jocular and visual.
Which is fine. Which is it's totally fine. I think the issue is that
it depends what you're selling. Like, if you're selling something that you want girls to buy, you market it differently. You're using that Stanley Cup, which you told us the story of.
Yes.
As soon as they started marketing it to women, it became a runaway success. When they were marketing it to guys who go camping, there were only like 15 guys in the whole world who went camping and cared about a Stanley Cup before that.
And they didn't really care about whatever has happened. And now they've branched out to accessories, and they've done like a whole other multi-million business of like just selling accessories. But I think with advertising, and what I've seen on TikTok that works as well, is that people need to be able to just like take the piss. There's like a video that or trend that was taking place a couple of weeks ago, where people would be like, this is the person that you thought you got, and then like they'd have a couple of drinks later, and then it'll be like, this is the actual person that you got.
But that goes back to Ben's point about the WhatsApp groups. Is like, you're probably, the real you is probably close to your WhatsApp.
Absolutely.
Right. And the fakest version of you is probably your LinkedIn.
But this is why social media is fake. Fun fact as well, Gen Zs actually love LinkedIn, and they wish that more social media networks were like LinkedIn. Yes. They find it safe. They think there's a bit of a community. Where I look at it and I'm like, everyone is just boring. Like, they're boring because everyone comes across as an expert. You know, everyone's a marketing expert. Everyone is a CI expert, or they'll tell you about tax. Like, everyone knows everything, so you just like whatever. Whereas the other social media platforms where people are goofy and themselves, I'm like, oh, cool, this is cool. And then Gen Z's like, I want that. That looks more
but
real.
you said the word safe just now. Like, I can't remember who said it, but I listened to a podcast a while ago where a guy was talking about how this obsession with safety is precisely where we've become boring.
Yep.
Because everything that we've made safe, we've just drained the fun out of. Like, everything that is safe, this like putting people and relationships and everything into cotton wool, and it doesn't move, and it just gets fat and dies.
That's exactly it.
And you don't want safety. You actually, if you're an adventurous soul, you want to get out there into the world. You don't want to be safe. Safety is exactly the opposite of what someone who's seeking to do something in their life should be after. The moment you feel safe, you should ask yourself, am I comfortable, and do I want to stay here forever? And if that's all I want to achieve, have I lost ambition?
It's a good thing. I mean, you want to be safe when a cyclone hits your yacht in the Mediterranean. For the next hour or two, safety is a big thing.
Yeah. No,
if you're aquaplaning across the highway in your car, you want a bit of safety. But ultimately, it does nothing else.
Yeah, I agree.
Safety first. Whoever said that, smack that old trout in the mouth.
Cook O says, the real question is, who watches ads anymore? How often have you thought something because of an ad? Well, I mean, listen, there are brilliant ads that do pierce through the noise, right?
Yes.
And I think advertising comes under extreme criticism because it's you've got to do so much in 30 seconds or a minute. And you've got to do so much in that 5 seconds that someone drives past a billboard, or the 20 seconds you listen to a show like this, or whatever. You've got limited time, and you've got to make everything potent and powerful and, like grab everyone's attention. That's difficult. But when they get it right, they being the people in that business, man, it's good. Yes. When they get it wrong, obviously we criticize them horrifically. I mean, if the guy who's painting your roof misses a spot, you don't go, "Oh, you're useless. You should never work in this industry again." You're like, "Can you maybe get that patch there?"
Yeah.
But there's some industries that we're extremely critical, sometimes for the right reasons. Your doctor cuts your carotid artery by mistake. Yeah, that's a problem.
A big problem. Yeah.
It's a big problem. But otherwise, we should maybe just apply a consistent set of standards.
But maybe just have fun. I mean, because I'm a fan of economics and the ecosystem of life. Without brands and ads and stuff, you wouldn't have shows, you wouldn't have creators, you wouldn't have people. Would be boring. So it's all part of the mix. So I always respect that. But we can have more fun, though.
Well, I see a nice compliment for people who've worked with us before. Both of these people, one of them still works with us. Auto Trader, Mapelo says, makes great ads. Naked Insurance too. I've seen the Naked Insurance ads. They are very clever. And well done to Ernest and the team at Naked. You guys are really your advertising guys too.
And ultimately, people need insurance. People's lives need insurance.
Yes.
So cool. Yeah. If you're going to attract people to your company with something that the society needs, even better.
But I think make it fun is like, if there's any takeaway from this, don't leave the show today going, "We've got to take meth." If you stopped listening at a certain point, don't do that.
Maybe.
Leave the show today going, "Let's keep things fun. We want more fun. Let's laugh more. Let's have more fun." And because you can choose that, it's really all in your hands. Like, it's nobody else's job to make you laugh. You've got to decide, "I'm going to have a happy day." And you'll find reasons to laugh. Or you can wake up in the morning and go, "I'm going to be miserable," like Greta Thunberg. And then you'll have a miserable day.
Horribly unfun female that. But also, and if the fun offends you, pull yourself together.
There we go.
Pull yourself
together. The advice
together.
from Sam Neill's mom. Pull yourself together. That's the greatest advice we could possibly have. All right, Ben, well, thank you. We will catch up with Ben in another week's time and enjoy the rugby. You're going to Ellis Park?
I am. I'm so excited about that. Going to Ellis Park.
Good.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about like the zombies afterwards.
No, it goes back to being hard to kill, but also I'm with really good people. The big Tour of S team, we're going to do it right, because that's how you do things. Be sure to obviously listen to the On the Bounce podcast, yesterday's show with Sandile.
Yes.
It was probably my favorite show of the show so far. Of the 12 episodes.
And apparently the numbers for live viewing are going up and up and up. So if you aren't watching it live yet, you may be missing a thing. Because you can join in the comments, you see, that's what makes that nice. And you can actually be a part of the conversation like we do on this show. Or if you can't, then we'll watch it whenever it suits you.
Yes, and we give stuff away.
No pressure.
And Sandila's he lost a bet. So tomorrow morning, before he flies to Durban at 7 a.m., he's going to be in the cold plunge.
Ooh.
Man United ruined everyone's weekend last week. So he's doing 8 degrees for a minute and a half.
Yes.
Just before you run away, apparently you got an update on the Please Call Me guy from Vodacom.
Well, it's now going to the Supreme Court again.
Yes.
I thought this guy had won. I mean, I thought everybody
did.
And we're all on his side, right?
Yes. We are.
Yeah.
So, okay, we try to give us in 2 minutes. The guy worked there as a Vodacom employee in the late 90s into early 2000s. He went to his boss and said, "What about this?" And the guy's like, "Great idea." And then he said, "Okay, cool. What about some compensation?" He's like, "Cool. We'll sort you out, whatever."
Yeah.
And then they basically made the thing, and then they made all this money. To fast forward to where it is now, yes, he has won.
Yeah.
But then Vodacom are arguing that his financial formula is a bit wrong from his people.
Mm-hmm.
He originally went there and said, "I want however much." Vodacom said, "Oh, we'll give you 10 million." To which he then said, "Not a chance." I think again, I'm under correction here. Vodacom's biggest take this money and shut up was 47 million rand.
Right.
To which he still said, "You are insulting and embarrassing me."
Yeah.
But then as the case got bigger, the legal team and advice became bigger. But ultimately, it's going back to the Supreme Court because Vodacom feel that the formulas are all wrong. So it's still in the mix.
This poor man. Can you imagine? He's really, it was his idea. Indisputably, it was his idea, right?
Deserves the money, but at what cost? This has been going on for like essentially almost 20 years.
But this is interesting because are they also including like in him calculating how much the idea is worth. Also, the legal fees, because it's been about 10 years now, I think, that this is happening. So he's also not just saying that, I don't want 47 million because I don't think it's a lot. He's also like, I have to pay because I don't think he's paid
those lawyers,
for those lawyer fees.
Those lawyers will suck up that 47 million.
Those lawyers have looked at this as a business opportunity.
Yeah, so I think that's also part of the issue and the back and forth is that he's actually like, I actually need to walk away with something.
Yeah.
And now...
And they're probably on a contingency, which means that whatever he wins, they'll get a percentage of.
They are, but I mean, there's a couple of other steps here in that some people are saying that it's your prerogative to bring ideas to the person that employs you.
Sure.
So they feel like he shouldn't be compensated. He was just working there at a time and it was a really good idea. Well done. We'll take you out to lunch. And then the person who said to him, we'll reward you, people are now arguing that this guy does not have the rights to promise him anything.
Oh boy.
So if you want to get into this and get down to like the muck of it, it could go on forever and ever. And
what do you reckon the best advice is? Keep your good ideas to yourself.
No, I think keep your good ideas and package them and say, right,
and
I've
make sure
got
the
an idea.
agreement's in place first.
I've got an idea for a profit share, which I think is going to be so amazing for your company.
All right.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because he was young and impressionable, trying to make a name for himself. He obviously wants to share good ideas.
Yeah.
And I think it's about sitting people down and being hard about things. But I would love to know, looking back at this now, if he got the opportunity to take that 47 million without all the lawyers stuff all that time ago, would he have done it?
He might have.
I think so.
Or is he just
that's a lot of money.
Ultimately happy to slog it out for the billions?
All right, I want to let Ben go. We kept him way over his usual sell-by date. He's going to turn into a pumpkin and like disappear.
Cheers,
keep him
Ben.
longer. Thank you, Ben. Okay, so let's talk to Craig. I promised you that we would talk to this man. He is an OG of the South African music industry, and I'm thrilled that he's able to join us now. Craig Hinds, of course, from the brilliant band Watershed. How are you, dude?
How are you, Gareth? Very good, and you?
I'm great. I haven't seen you in such a long time. You look good. What can I say? Look at you. I thought I'd be talking to some old man, but you look fantastic.
No, life is good. Moved down to Cape Town a couple of years ago, and I think the lifestyle here is just really chilled. So yeah, so feeling good. Lots of music going on and cool stuff. Yeah.
So
and you too.
No, thanks. Listen, I'm feeling pretty good. I went for my my Discovery Health assessment on Monday. Well, it was my birthday. I had to do something, and I was prepared for, like you're old now. So I'm 47. They came back and told me I've got a very good vitality age of 41. I'll take it. Fuck yeah, right? I'm thrilled with that. Like I'm telling everybody, even if they don't want to know. I'm sharing that with people, like random people. Random people on the streets. I'm going, do you know that I have the vitality age of 41? Okay, so let's just quickly give people a recap here, because you actually have an incredible CV and you've been a part of creating songs that have become a part of South Africa, right? And it's left a lasting impression. For 15 years, this man has excelled in crafting unforgettable pop melodies, lead vocalist and the songwriter for Watershed. He propelled the band to legendary status as the country's premier acoustic rock group, and his repertoire includes timeless pop tunes and radio favorites from the past 15 years. You're a monster. You're an absolute juggernaut.
Gareth, I'm going to add a little bit more to that. We're actually on 25 years.
God damn, well done.
You got to add it too to the
well done.
That first.
Why did they tell me 15?
We started in 2000.
We started. So listen, you know the music industry's changed so much over 25 years. You have to be able to do a whole lot of new things. You have to be able to do things differently. You have to think about events differently. You have to think about merchandise. When you started, it was like you could actually sell albums and make a living. Like that's all you. By the way, what's that furry thing?
Like what that?
It
looks so inappropriate.
Are those your ball hairs? What's going on? Oh, it's a dog. Thank God. Oh wow. What is that dog's name?
This is Duffy.
Hello, Duffy.
Sure.
Sweet man. Now we just saw the fur, and I
was
thought,
like, what the hell?
gee, you got a very hairy something going on there.
A mane.
All right. So as I was saying, the music industry's changed a lot. You used to be able to just sell albums and that would be a living. I mean, like that, there was a lot of money to be made. Now it's a lot tougher in the music business, but in some ways there are also opportunities. Just tell us about this thing that you're doing Serenading the Untamed. I like the sound of this.
Yeah, I think just to go back on your first thing there, Gareth, I mean, it's changed incredibly, as you say. Back in the day, I've just got to get this Untamed one in order here, ready for her walk. It's you're talking about the old days of CDs in the 2000s, and that was really, when the music industry globally was just sort of just incredible. There was a lot of money to be made. We were lucky enough to have grabbed a lot of that audience back then when it was still sort of a real physical audience. People physically came to shows. You sold physical CDs. You could put money to a unit sold. And you could work out what you were going to make if you sold a platinum record. I mean, things change and for good reason. But unfortunately, a lot of that income has disappeared. And because of that, bands you'll find are touring again. Bands have to tour and tour and tour. You've got to try sort of make up that income that you used to make with selling records, because you're definitely not getting too much from your Spotify's, etc.
No, they basically, what they pay you, like a percentage of a cent for every person who downloads. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's really hard to understand, and you sort of never get real answers from record labels, and can't tell you where it's coming from. But anyway, we move on, and I think for the upside of streaming is that you are sort of you are a global release. It used to be amazing when you were with a local label and you got an international release. That was something to talk about. Anyone is global now. You can record a song in your bedroom and release it, and anyone in the world can hear it. Sure. And because of that reason, songs are getting picked up globally. Bands are now touring more because they need the money. So your audience has grown. Sort of your superficial audience has grown. But I suppose at the end of the day, it is still, boils down to getting people into a room. You need to get people into a room. You got to think creatively. You got to think out the box. And I think this is exactly what the Kruger show is all about.
Okay, so this is the point, right? Is you have to be creative, and you have been here, and you're combining a bunch of things that I think people love. So as I understand it, this Serenading the Untamed. You're giving people the bush and that whole feeling, which is a uniquely South African thing. People come from all over the world to be a part of that. And you're giving them some music and all the other stuff that's tied into that. Like, the fact that you've got that romantic feel, you've got the animals, you've got all of this stuff. It combines to make a pretty cool thing. Now you're doing that now. It's now in September, right?
Yeah, 13 September, we up at Chokwani Camp. It's going to be, I think it's going to be incredible, to be in the wild. I mean, I can't imagine how awesome it's going to be with the piano there, and it's just singing songs in this perfect setting. So it's I think for any band, it's the type of thing we get so used to playing in clubs and concert venues, and I think the closest we get to this sort of event would be a wine farm here in Stellenbosch or Franschhoek. So to actually get into Kruger, which is the heart of South Africa, to do this sort of thing, to play your music in that surrounding is quite.
That's amazing. I've heard about this Chokwani camp. It's so funny that you're doing that there, because my dad was telling me the other day he wants to book it. They put it up and then they take it down, right? So it's only there for a couple of months and then it moves.
Yes. Yeah, it's a sustainable, it's everything's on solar, and they set it up in the winter and then it, they take it away, which is cool because obviously the earth then sort of gets itself together again. Yeah. And so I just love the idea of it. I think they have these beautiful glamping. It's a tented camp.
Well, I mean, I can imagine, you kind of singing under the stars. This is a very cool vibe. I think this is sexy as hell. So the animals are not your audience. There are going to be people in the audience. The animals might come. They might. You don't know. You could have a lion a couple of feet behind you. You got to watch out.
They will be there for Indigo Girl. Trust me.
What a song. What a song. All right. So is this thing sold out already? I mean, are there still some tickets?
I'm pretty sure it's close to sold out. It's we've been chatting about it for a couple of weeks, but if there is something, it's definitely worthwhile getting on there now. It's I think the whole package just is. I think it's 2 nights, and we're playing on the first night, and then it includes game drives. As I say, these incredible, and that's open vehicle stuff. So it's proper. So it's
your idea.
I cannot wait. No, it wasn't my idea. I wish it was. It's the same as so many of these great songs in the world. You wish they were your ideas and your things. But I just think it's fantastic and can't wait. Our team is super excited to get out there.
Indigo Girl, which you mentioned just now. I mean, that's such a great song. When you have written a song like that, I may even have asked you this before, but I'm fascinated by this process. When you've written a song like that, and you play it for the first time and you hear it, not like final mix or production or anything, but just the melody. Do you know you've got a winner straight away?
Yeah, that is a really interesting question. And I'll tell you why. Because some songs, and Indigo Girl particularly, was a song that I never thought it would be anything. For me, it was, I wanted to be in a rock band. I wanted the music to be loud and out there. And one day I wrote Indigo Girl. I remember writing the piano hook first, and then I needed to put a melody to it, and I started repeating the words Indigo Girl.
Yeah.
And this was also before Indigo Children came around it, because that's the number one question is the song about Indigo Children.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of that. So the word Indigo Girl started sort of swimming around in my head, and it worked, and it turned out to be the sort of ultimate person, the perfect person you could be with. And but for me back then, it was just going to be an album track, and even I put it on the In the Meantime album as track 9 or something. It was way down the list. You know, the early songs were Shine on Me and all of those.
Yeah.
And yeah, so long story short, the album came out, and we didn't release Indigo Girl. So the first song was Shine on Me. Then we released Angel. Then we released In the Meantime, and then we released Yesterday again. And it got picked up by a DJ and went onto radio without us even knowing. And suddenly the song shot the lights out in SA.
Those
same thing happened.
DJs.
Yeah. No, we got to thank you guys, I tell you. Then the same thing happened in Europe. So a DJ happened to be on holiday in Cape Town when Indigo Girl was shooting the lights out here. Took the song over there and put it on a huge station in Europe, and it went to #1 there as well. And because the station was so big, it shot around pretty much all of Europe. And for me, it was still today. I had one friend who said to me, "Craig, that is your hit," and I was like, "There's no chance that's going to be that. There's no chance that's going to be the song."
I repeat this so often that I think the audience is probably sick of it, but if I could have one talent, it's the ability to write one great song. And you've written more than one great song, but that one, you know, you didn't know. You had no idea is what you're telling me. It's like you thought, nah, it's okay, we'll put it in. You said track number 9 on the album. It's like an afterthought. And look at that.
Yes.
It just blew everybody away. It's amazing. That's such a great thing to be able to do. Damn you, man. Damn you. I'm jealous.
Yeah. It was sort of like a B-side. You know, I think we were lucky though, because we felt a lot of pressure after that song, with it being such a big song. And in 2005, then we released a record called Mosaic, and we had a song in there called Letters. And Letters in South Africa did the same work that Indigo Girl did. Actually, it was a huge song for us. And that sort of that for us made the whole band make sense, the whole music thing, because it was always just sort of, I mean, we've got stuff from overseas, you know, talking about Watershed as a one-hit wonder band, and yeah, Letters sort of came in and made it a career, I think, you know, and we now 25 years. Watershed next year is a big year for us. We're 25 years old, so it's
Were you gonna do a big concert? You gonna do a big party?
Absolutely. We're planning a huge year. We will do a new record as well, which I think will be our 10th album. And yeah, we're planning a couple of big outdoors, and then a couple of more acoustic indoor shows we're going to document. Yep.
What are your favorite places to play? I mean, you talk about outdoors and you're doing this one in the game reserve on a riverbed at night. I mean, that's very special. But are there places that you just love playing, or does it depend on the crowd? Like, it doesn't matter where you are as long as the people are cool.
Yeah, I think people do make it, and people also ask, how can you play a song like Indigo Girl or Letters? I mean, I've played that song 10,000 times. And it's how can you keep playing that song? It's not actually about the song; it's actually about the audience. Every time, it's about that feedback you're going to get from them and that buzz you're going to get from the audience, which makes you want to play it. You actually can't wait to play that song again because you know what's going to happen, and you can't wait for that buzz. So it is the audience. The audience makes it. But yeah, I mean, you get your classic venues, Kirstenbosch, in Cape Town. We played some beautiful venues overseas as well. So it's yeah. But I think the Kruger thing.
It's so great that you do love playing the songs that people want to hear. Because I heard a story, I think it was even from Billy Joel in an interview, where he said, like, he just doesn't want to play Piano Man or Uptown Girl. He can't do She's Always a Woman. He's sick of those songs because he's heard them so many times. And I'm like, oh, but dude, we love them. You can't stop. So never lose that. I hope you don't get jaded and miserable about your songs ever.
No, 100%. It's not about us. It's not about us.
Look at this, Deirdre. Deirdre's comment. She says, "Oh my word! I remember asking this man to marry me at one of their concerts many, many years ago. He took it well and bought me a beer instead. Look at that."
Yo.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Where was that concert?
Deirdre, you'll have to tell us. Do you remember? I mean, you must have had a lot of women ask to marry you.
But I handle it well. I buy them a beer.
That's what I've been doing wrong. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no, it's one thing I do love about Billy Joel, talking about him, is that I've heard that he keeps the first 5 rows of every concert open.
Yeah.
So normally the artists make those super high price tickets, and he keeps those for the cheap seats are the best seats.
Yeah.
So everyone with the bucks has got to sit at the back, and he leaves that open till the end, and then he fills that up with which I really think it's.
I know something else about him which I think is very cool. He actually lectures music at Albany University, and you could go there for if you're studying music, you could go there for your normal lecture, and instead of the professor who's there to teach you about piano, you could end up with Billy Joel one day. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? And have you ever seen that concert he did at Madison Square Garden with Elton John, where they played each other's songs together on 2 pianos?
I would probably say that would be, I think if you think back to that era, Elton John and Billy Joel, like, who wrote more hits?
Oh my God.
It was just incredible. That must be an insane show to be at.
You've got to go into YouTube, just because, thank God for the internet, right? Simpiwe, you'll love this too. You can go and find the Madison Square Garden concert where they're doing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and Billy starts it. And obviously they play the piano very differently, and they've got such different voices, but it's just as fantastic when he's doing his parts as it is when Elton does his. And then they swap some other songs along the way in the show. It's just, to me, that would be a kind of heaven, right, Craig?
Jeez, tell me about it. That is just incredible. Yeah, I think that's I think that's also pushed. Going back to what you were saying earlier about CDs and streaming and live shows. I think there are a lot more collaborations that are happening.
Yeah,
I think artists are just trying to find their way. Trying to figure out this thing, because technology is changing things so quickly. It's just about the bands just like, okay, what's next? What's happening next? How are we going to move and change to make it real, make it happen. You know, so it's
I just want to throw this in too. Zwakele says, "Shame, why does Simpiwe look so sad? Sprinkle some Amapiano into the mix."
I'm listening.
Dirk Kutsia says, Craig, I found the courage to approach a very hot girl who's now my wife when Indigo Girl played 16 years ago. It's still our song. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I think that's something that you do have to keep going back to, and you know, remind yourself that you know musicians have to appreciate that songs are for people, you know, and you know how they get perceived, and how people what people read into songs is also interesting, you know, and that's what you're doing. And I love the fact that Indigo Girl has been a sort of a soundtrack to many people's lives, you know.
Well, listen, you don't have to convince me that it's worthwhile catching up with someone like you. I wish you guys such luck on your 25 years in the music business. You've played a massive part in the South African music tapestry, which I just love. And good luck with serenading the untamed. Don't get eaten by anything, if you don't mind. Like, that would be nice.
I'll take Duffy along to look after.
Yes, and take the dog for a walk. I mean, she's desperate. Get going.
No, she is. It's her time now. So,
all right,
amazing.
Lovely to see you, dude.
Yeah, you too, Gareth. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for the chat.
Lovely. Nice to see you. There's Craig Hinds, and they're doing a cool thing in the Kruger. Just gave us an excuse to talk to him.
Yeah.
I love musicians. I could talk to musicians all day.
I just like the fact that like they don't know the impact that they have with their music.
Well, you saw those comments, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, oh wait, what? Someone got married to my song, or someone was able to have the courage.
I see you just did a I'll take the whole sofa move.
Oh no!
Look at Simpiwe. She's like, oh, thank God. Now Ben's out of the way. I can have the whole chair to myself. Simpiwe is one of those people you invite her to your house, and she sits on the 3-seater in the middle.
Yes.
And won't let you sit on either side.
Yeah, and then this is where you're supposed to have all the snacks, and you're just like, yeah, so you sit over there.
I like it.
And you get very comfy. Yeah. In fact, I need a blanket, and then I'm really like, oh.
You know what? We'll get next week Friday, we'll have a blanket for Simpiwe, and we'll get her some snacks and drinks, and we'll make a whole thing of it.
Thank you.
That is us for this week. Have an awesome Friday. Have a good spring day on Sunday. Have an excellent payday if today's that. And we will catch you on Monday, 6 a.m. Be ready. September's right here.
Yes.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.
We naar een warm land, even op vakantie. Lekker bakken in de zon, daarop wil ik garant.